You can always count on Captain Courageous.
G'day, mate. It's real nice out here.
Oh boy, that's swell.
Oh boy, I can't do the Jeff DePaoli thing. I keep trying, it doesn't work.
Have a magical day.
Stop. Cut.
You know, sometimes you just don't know what's gonna come out of that boy's mouth.
I have a lot of voices in my head.
Animation was always something that I'd wanted to do ever since I was a child.
Love for Disney animation is what made me want to get into the animation world.
I'm actually one of the last of the Mohicans. I'm an AM radio listener, and I like to listen to a lot of the commercial voiceover on radio on AM, and so I like to mimic a lot of what I hear.
I grew up as an only child, so when you don't necessarily have siblings to play with all the time, you become very creative.
I think it was the first thing that led me to voiceover was the realization that I had the ability to mimic. And when I lived in New York during the days of MTV and Celebrity Deathmatch, I found that I had the ability to do impressions of various celebrities, and I thought to myself, that looks like it would be a great job.
When I was a teenager, I worked on a radio program, and I used to have lots of fun. And I remember thinking, oh my God, if only I could do it. And then all these things I wanted to do, all these stories I felt I wanted to tell. I could go to different worlds. I almost felt I could explore Victorian England, small town America. I could go back to rural Ireland in the 50s. I had such a good time. I felt like I traveled to all these different places, and I had such fun.
I started out when I was 5 doing accents. And I remember one time I asked my mom if it was all right if I went to school that day and pretended to be Australian. She said yes, and that was sort of the beginning of me deciding that I could do all these different accents. And I always had a really good ear. I started out singing, and I can mimic very, very well. And so I do a lot of accents, and that sort of in turn created a lot of different characters, and I've just always been willing to be free with my imagination.
I kind of fell into voiceover strangely altogether. Somebody heard me singing once and was like, oh, you should do voiceover, you can manipulate your voice. And of course, it sounds so simple, and then you start doing it, and you find out years later it's a much more difficult process than you imagined, but it's a fun process, so I've stuck with it.
I didn't really think it was something that would be possible, really until I came here and just got to do some great workout groups and have such a great support team.
I've always been interested in voiceover. People have told me from a very young age that, oh, you should do voiceover. They tell a lot of people that, and people think that they can do it. And then when they actually try to do it, they realize how difficult it is.
I've been here at the SAG Foundation Don LaFontaine Voiceover Lab since pretty much the beginning. I've been lucky enough to discover it right at the inception of it and been coming ever since, which is godsend. Has been immeasurable help in my career as an actor, period.
My name is Eric Shuford, and I am the administrator of the Don LaFontaine Voiceover Lab.
Hey, my name is Mike Varela. I'm one of the engineers here at the Don LaFontaine Voiceover Lab, and I help coach and train people in voiceover.
My name is Mickey Caputo, and I am one of 2 director / engineer / coach / people here at the Voiceover Lab.
The Voiceover Lab is a state-of-the-art recording facility that's built on a foundation of paying it forward and providing educational and instructional voiceover services for aspiring VO actors, actually. And it's an incredible place.
I'm one of the original engineers from the lab when we started about 4.5 years ago, and we've seen the place go through a lot of changes in the years. But the mission that we've had has been pretty consistent, and that's to help people grow in their voiceover career and train and teach them as much as we can.
There are a lot of things that you can do in voiceover here at the VO Lab, most notably using the studios that are in place. We have a fantastic solo booth and an amazing state-of-the-art main booth that you can use to record. Those services are invaluable, obviously.
Following the orientation, I was a little intimidated, I would say. But the minute you start recording and you realize you're by yourself and there's no judgment whatsoever except for what you might put in your own head, it became really simple.
The first time I came in, I didn't know much about how to use the microphone properly, how to do a cold read for copy, and I really learned so much that I feel comfortable. Coming into an audition would be easy for me now because of all the practice that I've had.
I was a little intimidated starting in the solo booth, I'm not gonna lie. But everybody was so nice in teaching you how to use the programs. And so it became easier and easier every time that you went in.
When I first got here, I knew nothing about editing. In fact, I was really kind of nervous about having to go into the solo booth. And I remember this like it was yesterday. I remember feeling like, wow, what am I doing? You know, I'm stepping into this room and I'm recording. Oh my God.
As you all know, as an actor, you have to practice to get better. You need money to take classes, and you need a job to have money. So being at a voiceover lab is like free money.
I think one of the coolest things about the lab is that it sets a comfort level for being in a booth. I guess if you haven't taken a ton of classes, I took some classes before I came here, but just being in the booth every single week, working with an engineer every single week, it's just the comfort of being in the microphone, in the box, I guess. So like when you go for auditions, that's just a comfortable space for you to begin with. And then also taking direction is something I think that the lab has helped me with tremendously.
I don't have a home studio at the moment. I kind of did, but you could hear so much feedback in my closet that being in that solo booth, I just feel like it's my own room, and I never want to give it up. So.
Since discovering the SAG Foundation's Don LaFontaine voiceover lab, I have found it to be an amazing resource for me, training resource. I got to work with state-of-the-art equipment, and I've got to work with a team of top engineers.
One of the most valuable things about the voiceover lab has been working with the engineers. Mike and Mickey have been instrumental in kind of guiding me and developing my voice and kind of finding what problems I have in my voice and what my strengths are, and kind of figuring out how to hone in where I fit in the animation and in the voiceover world in general.
Everyone is really unique and has their own skill set and their own voice print, and it's really cool to be able to see people grow and to have some kind of small part in that.
I'd have to say the thing that I like most about the lab is watching people develop from novices to pros, and watching their careers go through transitions, and also watch them get their first agent. I like to see people after they come in, after they've got representation, and continue to work out.
What I love about being here is being able to help people and inspire some kind of confidence in the abilities that each person brings.
I love teaching classes here. I like people learning how to use software, and the biggest joy I think comes from watching people grasp different ideas and sort of bring that to fruition, whether it's their own careers or learning how to use their computers correctly, or getting that great take for the audition they need to.
I think the one thing that I love about the VO Lab is the fact that it truly is and always feels like a community to me, and it's one of those things that in this business is really difficult to find. You don't always find that. You know, I think that VO actors do have the benefit of knowing that there's a fantastic nurturing environment that comes with being a part of this community, and people that are incredibly famous and incredibly successful come back and will teach workshops for us.
I've had the opportunity to take so many different workshops here, and it's been such a blessing. If I had to choose one of the workshops that was the best, I would have to choose every single one of them.
It's hard to single people out because really every single instructor that we've had here at the lab has been awesome, and they've brought their own knowledge and experience.
One of my favorite workshops that the VoiceOver Lab offered was with Ramey Cornell. It was called Ramey Cornell's What Does My Voice Sell? And her workshop was actually fantastic. She gave a lot of information and even referenced a few books that would be worth picking up and reading.
One of the workshops I enjoyed the most was a workshop given by Mark Kondracki of Out Loud Audio, and it was the Audible's audiobook training workshop. And Mark said something at that workshop which lingered with me afterwards. He said, each time you approach the booth, think of it almost as going on stage. He said, when you walk in, your energy levels are high, your adrenaline is high, and then you must tone it right back.
My favorite workshop that I've taken so far was Debbie Derryberry's animation workshop. And I just had a lot of fun working with her. She was obviously voiced a ton of cartoons and characters that I've loved watching growing up. And during the workshop, I learned a lot about how to break down a script quickly and easily, and kind of just make everything flow a little bit better when you're in the booth.
I'll just name a few because I've taken so many. But a few that stand out are Cedar Fox's workshop. And I think with her workshop, I began to think of just the individual words as being really important. I thought it was really fascinating, her method of treating each individual word as a universe. And it made it almost poetic and, how can I say this, fun to approach copy in that way. So that was great.
For Cedar Fox, she made us realize that the words matter. The copy matters. Each word is chosen for a specific reason by the people that write it. So when you are reading copy, you need to notice each word and give it the credit that it deserves to make sure that you're saying it clearly. And if it's something that's important, you need to emphasize it in a way that doesn't sound like you're overdoing it.
I think Paul Pape's class was probably the most influential for me, finding my authentic voice. I'd gone back since the class and listened to a lot of recordings I'd done previously thinking, oh yeah, this is awesome, and realizing, oh, this is so inauthentic. And so it's really helped me go, oh right, this is the voice that's me. This is the bookable me. This is me walking in the room up to the mic that nobody else is gonna have. You know, there may be similar qualities that other people have, but this is me.
One of my best experiences was with Juan Carlos Bagnal, who did a workshop with us, and it was one of my first experiences where he told me that I nailed it, where I actually did it exactly how it needed to be. And that was just an amazing experience and a great boost.
One specifically that focused on animation was with Nancy Cartwright. And hearing her story and getting to meet her, I mean, it altered my direction on what I was going to be doing. I actually had a workout group scheduled for the next day, and usually we worked on commercial, and I scrubbed that and just made myself write down an animation script with several characters that have been living in my head for a long time, and I finally got to express them in the studio, and I would gather from the feedback it's something that I will be continuing with.
I think one of my favorite workshops was with Bob Bergen. It was an animation workshop, but it was actually more of a Q&A type of situation. I don't think anybody really went into the booth. But one of the really cool things about talking with him was he got into voiceover kind of with a very, very specific dream of being Porky Pig. And just hearing that story and kind of the guts he had to go and tackle that and succeed at that, I'm like, well, if that guy can have that specific a dream and succeed, why can't I, you know? So it's kind of an awesome workshop.
I'm a fan of Bill Ratner. He's such a cool guy and so giving and smart and just so helpful and supportive. And I think those qualities are just, you know, that's the spirit of the lab.
Another voiceover lab workshop that I really enjoyed was Ramey Cornell's workshop. I think it was called What Is Your Voice Sell? And that was interesting because, you know, we all think that we can do everything. Oh, I can do car commercials, I have that kind of voice, I can do this with my voice, I can do that with my voice, but unfortunately, when people hear your voice, they automatically think, oh, she is the young mom that sells to, you know, maybe professional women during the day, you know, whereas you think that you can be that, like, chocolate, type voice or whatever it is that you really want to do. So it was interesting to get someone else's perspective of my voice based on just how my voice sounds, not me manipulating my voice to get it to sound a certain way. So that was really interesting.
In Paul Pape's workshop, I learned that start with yourself. Be yourself. Only you can be yourself. Once you're yourself, then you can start adding things on. But if you don't start off with yourself, then you're not going to be believable. It's not going to be good enough, and they will just pass on to someone else.
In addition to Bill Ratner, we've had some, there's so many to name, and I'm sure I'm going to forget some, but you got Lynn Ann Zager, Tish Hicks, you got Rick Wasserman, you've got Pat Fraley and Scott Brick, you've got, there's just so many, you've got Ramey Cornell, you've got Amy Grant, just amazing giving souls that have given so much of their time and experience and heart to encourage people for nothing. They ask nothing.
I've taken a few voiceover classes, and you're in there with other amateurs, and everything that you do is basic. But in the voiceover lab, you're here with professionals. People come in and they want it, and you get to see other people work, and you're like, whoa, okay, this is where I can go with it, and I've been going there with it. All thanks to the Don LaFontaine Voiceover Lab.
So what I do, because I'm here for most of those workshops, is I take everything that they give and give it right back to the people that are here that didn't get a chance to come to the workshop.
One of my favorite workshops was with Paul Pape. And I just think it's my favorite because, one, it was a 5-day intensive, and I felt like I was able to really connect with Paul. I was really able to connect with a lot of the other students in the classroom. And we became a family.
And that's not something I think you see in other aspects of acting. So people are really open, really supportive, and inviting, which is really a rarity, I think, in this business. And this is a routine occurrence in the VO community, and that's something I really think is amazing. I relish that.
It's inspiring, and I think it makes people feel that they're not alone in an industry where you can feel insulated. So and flying solo. So yeah, we've been very lucky.
Non-stop, I've been getting better and better and learning and making new friends and learning about how to speak in a way that is believable and effective and real. And that's one of the main things people need to learn in voiceover, is to be able to be yourself first.
The VO Lab has been essential in just honing like the skill, the talent for voiceover, and being able to take direction. The engineers are fantastic. They're amazing in giving direction and helping the voiceover artist to dig deeper into the story, even if it is just commercial, because there's always a story to be told.
There's nowhere else that you're going to have the access that you have through the voiceover lab to these professionals. They give you the advice that they give you that just really skyrockets your confidence as well as your performance in a room.
And for me, it's been such a help in all areas, not just voiceover. It was a kind of a crossover, and I really felt that it really helped my audition skills, and it led to me working with book pals, where I had a team of little 4th graders every week listening to a story. So it was kind of all part of the whole storytelling process for me, and it's been wonderful. I must say, I've had a really good journey, and I'm looking forward to lots more journeys.
The whole world of voiceover has been just made accessible, really accessible, hands-on, immediate, and the best part is it's no cost to me as a union member.
I was very hesitant to tell the rest of my friends because in the beginning I could come here like every single day, a couple of times, because it wasn't full, so all the times were open, so they were like, use it as much as you can. Then the word got out, and now it's quite competitive.
I'm so thankful and grateful for the SAG Foundation Don LaFontaine Voiceover Lab.
I don't think that there's anything that the VO Lab hasn't helped me with. I think it's helped me with everything voiceover related.
Over the years, we've really taught a lot of people, and we've come to realize that we're a big first step in their careers when they're launching their personal voiceover career.
I would say that the Don LaFontaine Voiceover Lab has launched my voiceover career.
Since going to the lab, I have booked several projects which came as a direct result of auditions recorded at the lab.
I feel like I'm making a difference here because sometimes people will come in for auditions and they'll book, the spot that I helped direct them on.
There is nothing, and I stress nothing out there better than what's here. Because you're gonna pay hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars to take lessons, but that's gonna be all theoretical and academic if you're not practicing. And this is the place to come in and hone your skills and find yourself, because that's really what it's all about. The more you do it, the better you get, the more confidence you have, and the more confidence you have, the more you're gonna book. It's really that simple.
I mean, this place wouldn't exist without obviously Don LaFontaine and the spirit of voiceover and people like Paul Pape and Joe Cipriano and the countless other people that you'll never see and maybe never even hear about that have made this place such a home, a home and a warm place, a welcoming and warm place to go for aspiring voice actors and established voice actors. It's, there's no other place like it.
You may have heard it before already, but nonetheless, it bears repeating. It's just an invaluable service, and if you're interested in sort of what VO has to offer, why not take advantage of this resource? It's here for you, it's free, and I think it's a great place to start.